Hey, it's Lemon. Welcome to the Backlogs. Hope you're doing well. Back in March of 2023, I made a silly little video where I beat all of Dark Souls 1 with 100 great arrows or less. Spoiler alert, I succeeded, clearing the game in 77 arrows, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And then something funny happened. In what has become a bit of a trend, a handful of creators found my channel, then did the inevitable. They took my challenge runs and did them better. Lemon can't beat Pikmin 1 with only yellows? Pathetic. Lemon couldn't kill Lud and Zallen with only firebombs? Alright, time to prove it's possible. Lemon got stuck in his explosive-only run of Gears of War? What are you, a casual? Just discovered an entirely new skip that gets past the Corpser, then recognized that the Brumac fight isn't part of the original 360 version. Lemon struggles to beat XCOM with only one soldier? Well, that's because he picked the wrong class, the doofus. Lemon failed to beat Borderlands 1 with one button press? Stay in your lane, kid. The adults will take it from here. Now, just in case it wasn't clear, I take zero offense to any of this. If anything, I'm flattered. I tried to play a bunch of games stupid, and other creators out there proved my stupidity would have worked had I known more about the game I was playing. And that's fucking awesome. I mean, look at all the new useless knowledge we now have. God, I love the gaming community sometimes. And then it was brought to my attention that someone tried to improve my Great Bow only run. Aw, look, he's a PNG tuber just like me. That's awesome. Can't wait to see how he... Oh, it's like that, is it? So not only did Teleios beat my record of 77 arrows and stab my poor avatar in the chest, but he made the worst mistake possible. He called me out at the end of his video and bet he could beat Dark Souls 2 with less great arrows than me. And I took that personally. So today, we're gonna find out. Can you beat Dark Souls 2 with 100 great arrows or less? Now then, the rules. According to Teleios, we're allowed to spawn in a great bow and 100 great arrows of our choosing, can cheat engine in max stats for strength, dexterity, and stamina, can use the environment to kill our targets, and can also use NPC summons if they're using a great bow. We're also allowed to use bonfire ascetics, cheats, and exploits. Quite the rules you've got there, my boy. But you forgot one thing.
I'm not a fucking casual.
So instead, here's the new rules. Much like my first video, I'll gladly spawn in a great bow and great arrows to get the run started. But I will not be giving myself stats for free, won't summon any NPCs, and won't be using any cheats or exploits to complete my goal. So all of this nonsense that Teleios did in his run? Yeah, no, we're not doing any of that. Real gamers don't fly around brick walls, they bash their faces into them repeatedly. If you want to see all sorts of crazy exploits and the like, I'll put a link to Teleios' run in the description, seeing as he's already completed his attempt. But I'm old-fashioned, which means we'll be headbutting our way through any and all walls that come our way. So, with these expectations set, let's show these newcomers that the old guard isn't dead just yet.
But first, a word from today's sponsor, Portal Fantasy.
What? Oh, come on, I was just about to... You know, on second thought, I can wait.
Oops, sorry. My arm got tired. Wait a minute, I don't have arms. Do you like collecting creatures that may or may not love you? Do you enjoy being around quirky NPCs that may or may not be qualified for their jobs? Does the idea of exploring a pixelated world while solving puzzles give you a light buzzing in your stomach? If so, then have I got the game for you. Portal Fantasy, which just launched on April 16th. Actually, now that I think about it, that buzzing in your stomach is probably something else. You should get that checked out. Use your creatures to battle it out against other monsters, then upgrade them even further with science! Or maybe it's magic. Honestly, who can tell the difference these days? Create a party of your favorites, then go running off into the deep unknown, doing quests for people who definitely have your best interests at heart, exploring spooky dungeons, and engaging in intense, pulse-pounding crate pushing. Oh god, my heart! If that all sounds fun to you, then use my link in the description and pinned comment down below, and play Portal Fantasy today. And for a limited time, it's even on sale, so get it while it's hot. Alright, Lemon, you can do your thing now. Ooh!
What? Is it bad? Carl said it wasn't bad. Right. Let's get this party started. We've got a little bit of setup to do, but that should only take a few hundred hours, so it's all good. What? What'd I say? We collect the Chloranthy ring from the starting area, since the entire beginning of the run requires me to run away from everything that moves, along with the life ring for just a bit more health. And now for the weapon we'll be using, the twin-headed great bow. Found in the Ilium Lois DLC, this great bow has the best scaling of all the great bows available, which means it'll give us the most bang for our buck once we get a build that can use it. As a trade-off, it has the longest load time of any of the great bows, which could be a real problem if we can't create enough distance between us and the enemy. But that's a problem for another time. In order to use this bad boy, we're gonna need some disgusting stats. 45 strength and 15 dexterity. Or so I thought. Turns out, Dark Souls 2 is different from other Souls games, because of course it is, and when you two-hand a weapon, it halves the strength requirement. So that 45 strength dips all the way down to 22. Yeah, I know that doesn't math properly, but since when did anything in Dark Souls 2 make sense? Regardless, we still need several stat increases before we can even fire off a single Great Arrow, and I know just how to do it. The first step is to make the Dragon Rider take his last, which nets us 12,000 souls at the cost of 0 arrows, and after popping his soul as well, we have a neat 18,000 that we can spend on the cat ring. And with the remaining souls pumped into vigor, we can make our way down the pit in Majula in relative safety, use the Pharaoh's Lockstone that I got from Majula Mansion to lower a bridge in the Grave of Saints, and scurry up the stairs to grab Whisper of Despair, a hex that reduces the physical defense of its target by 200 for 60 seconds. Then we go even deeper into the pit until we reach Black Gulch, where we head down into the hidden cave with the 2 giants and unlock a chest that has the Ring of Giants +1, which increases our poise. With poise taken care of, I drop down into the Salamander pit back in the Forest of Fallen Giants, where I pick up the Hawk Ring just for good measure. Then we free Rosabeth from her stony prison so that we can push past her into the Shaded Wood, where the red Tearstone ring waits for me in a puddle. And that's it. That's all the pieces of our build collected. Now we just need to boost our stats. And it's here that the fun begins. We head back to the Tower of Flame, lure the old knight back towards the entrance of the level, and do a saucy little jump across this gap. And without fail, the knight falls into the water below, netting me a cool 400 souls. Doing this takes about 15 seconds, and very little skill. But we can do better. If we spend a little cash at Malentia's shop, she'll eventually give us the Silver Serpent Ring +1, which makes it so that we get even more souls with every kill, bringing it up to 480. And don't worry, while enemies despawn if you kill them too many times in Dark Souls 2, we can make them spawn infinitely if we join the Company of Champions. And why stop there? Because we took the Bonfire Ascetic as our starting gift, we can actually change the Tower of Flame into its new game +1 counterpart, which means now the old knights drop 960 souls, double what they did initially. But why stop there when we can push ourselves into red Tearstone range, then give our friend the merchant a face full of Great Arrow? It takes 2 arrows to get the job done, but the rewards are worth it. The Seldora armor set. This set also increases our soul gain, which means that 960 souls we were looking at before is now a whopping 1,193 every 15 seconds. And now the fun part. In order to skip basically the entire first half of the game, we need a cool 1 million souls. And in order to do that without using any arrows, we're gonna grind this spot out for the foreseeable future. How long did that take? Well, I'll tell ya. 1 million divided by 1,193 is 838. 838 times 15 seconds is 12,573. Divide that by 60 and you get 209.5 minutes. Divide that by 60 and you get 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours of jumping up and down this staircase, plus or minus a few minutes due to the Dragon Rider soul we ate earlier and the occasional goof up. Is it terrible? Well, no. God knows I've done more disgusting grinds than this one, and this is a relatively painless one considering the lack of skill needed. But would I rather be doing something else? 100%. But with the Shrine of Winter now open, we can switch out of the Covenant of Champions, make a quick stop to Pirate Town to buy a staff from Carhillion so I can cast my hex, dash my way through the Shaded Woods for an upgrade to my Chloranthy ring, then make a few stops around several maps to gather up as much Twinkling Titanite as I can find. Unfortunately, this upgrade material is pretty hard to come by in the early game, which sucks, considering my great bow requires it. But I was able to find enough to upgrade my bow to +2. And with that done, I think it's about time we pushed forward. I open the Shrine of Winter, make my way up the Dranglake Castle stairs, and test out our new and improved build. 1 shot, 1 kill. Just the way we like it. Unfortunately, the only way to open the castle doors is to kill 2 enemies in front of the door golems. Enemies who aren't exactly being cooperative right now. But after a mental reset and a little better RNG, we get the job done. You know what? I'd been holding off on doing this run for months now, but this isn't so bad. I don't know what I was so worried about. Uh-oh. Oh, silly me. I forgot to add Whisper of Despair. There, now we can... Uh-oh. Okay, well, what if we try again at Red Tearstone range? Uh-oh! So several notes. Whisper of Despair? Apparently not as good as I thought it would be. Definitely put too many eggs in that particular basket. Also, my stamina? Probably not nearly as high as it needs to be. Dark Souls 2 does this stupid thing where you do reduce damage if you don't have enough stamina for an attack. And something tells me we're dipping into the red every time. But rather than subject myself to even more grinding, I decided 2 arrows was probably as good as it was going to get, and moved on. Right into the next boss, the Dual Dragon Riders. Surprisingly, this boss is actually difficult this time because the Great Bow is so incredibly slow. But they're just Dragon Riders. And with Whisper of Despair in place, it's just a matter of time before I can line up a shot and... Sweet merciful God. What about the second rider? He's weaker than the first. Surely the damage is... Why? Right, Red Tearstone. Red Tearstone never fails. You know, I might have dramatically underestimated how terrible the health mode of Dark Souls 2 is. And it's right around here that the desperation started to kick in. I tried using Iron Flesh in hopes of being able to get off shots more easily, but that didn't really pan out. And then I ground out a few levels in Endurance in hopes that having enough stamina to shoot my great bow would make a difference. It did not. Eventually, after dying multiple times to the twin Dragon Riders of all things, I gave up and just started sending arrows down range. I killed the first Dragon Rider in 5 shots, and the second Dragon Rider in 10. One boss down, and I'm already down to 79 arrows, and they only get more tanky from here. The Riders had a combined total of 5,140 health. Grandma Frog has even more than that. Even if I'm able to find enough Twinkling Titanite to upgrade my bow to maximum, the health pools of these bosses are just going up. And even if I can keep my arrow consumption down to 10 or so per boss, that's too many arrows. I've got 7 more bosses to go, technically 8 because of the Throne Watcher and Defender. In the unlikely event that each boss only takes me 10 arrows, we'd either be just short or literally right on target. Which means that Teleios would win. And with that said, I guess it's over. We had a good run, but there comes a time when every king must pass on the crown. What, you thought that was it? You thought I'd just sit down and let Teleios get away with it? Well, I got 4 words for you. Talk shit, get hit. Same start as before. Start as the Explorer, take the Bonfire Ascetic as our starting gift, laugh at the Dragon Rider until he takes 3,050 psychic damage. But then, a key difference. Rather than start working towards the $1 million door, I pop my Ascetic in Majula, which turns our boy Movlin into an asshole and upgrades his inventory to have the key ingredient to the run, the Butterfly set. That's right, no more Mr. Nice Lemon. It's time for Sour Lemon to take the stage. We're still going to need 1 million souls, but rather than spend 3.5 hours jumping up and down stairs, I have a better idea. I'm gonna stand underneath a bunch of bosses and watch as they all die from the mere thought of fighting me. I mean, can you blame them? I'm a very intimidating figure. I'd die of a heart attack too. Now, I know what you're thinking. Lemon, that's not a great bow. And you're right, it's not. It's environmental damage, which just so happened to be one of the limitations that Teleios allowed when writing the rules. I may not be able to glitch my way through walls, but I can damn well chip away at the plaster. And you'd be surprised how many bosses in Dark Souls 2 can be poisoned. But now the real question, how far does this loophole get me? Well, I guess that depends on how far I'm willing to go. If we drop down into the elevator shaft at the Lost Bastille, we can grab ourselves another Bonfire Ascetic. And if I burn that at Majula as well, that unlocks the last piece of the butterfly armor from Movlin. And with that acquired, our build is basically complete. No, seriously, we're done here. For those that don't understand what's going on, let me explain. The butterfly set has 4 pieces in it. If you wear these pieces around NPCs or enemies, the game starts to poison them. The more pieces you wear, the faster the poison builds. There's some speculation online about how many pieces you need and if it's worth your time to wear all of it, but if we aren't fashion soulsing it up over here, then what the hell are we doing? The set also gives you the same effect as the cat ring, where you take less damage from falls, and also dramatically slows down your fall as well, because as we all know, the butterfly floats down. Now, we don't have all the pieces of the set. There's still a butterfly shield that we could grab as well, but the shield doesn't have a poisonous aura like the armor does, so we're gonna skip out on that one. It's also worth noting that other items that would increase your poison stat buildup, like the rat ring, don't affect the aura either. It's an environmental effect, through and through, completely unaffected by the player's build or input. My only role in all of this is that I float down. Unless the game doesn't want me to float down, in which case I, float up? Now, in an effort to minimize grinding and have the most fun with the run, I did sprint through a majority of the game. Because contrary to what you might think, most of the poisonous bosses in the game can, in fact, be poisoned. But not all of them. And while we were able to make a heavy push into the game, you can't actually poison Najka or the Skeleton Lords, which means 2 of the Lord Souls you need to open the Shrine of Winter normally are out of reach. But, as proven before, 1,000,000 souls is just a few hours grind away. And considering how many souls I've already got under my belt, it was significantly less than that. And with that done, we're all caught up. But unlike last time, I don't need 2 arrows to open the main entrance. And while the stone soldiers at the second door can't be poisoned, the regular Drangleic soldier just above the room can be, and is more than happy to lend us a hand. Or, you know, a soul. As expected, the Dragon Riders are just as susceptible as everything else up to this point, which means we're another boss closer to our goal, with 0 arrows used thus far. But what about the elevator? We need a soul to raise it up, and the only souls available are these headless mannequins, and they can't be poisoned. At least, that's what I thought. But after going out of my way to find a great shield and pinning a mannequin up against a wall for, I shit you not, 3 minutes and 45 seconds, the poison effect finally procced, which means the elevator can now move and we can push forward on the run. The Looking Glass Knight was pretty awful, since his mobs either can't be poisoned or have such high poison resistance that it's not worth your time to try, but the knight himself can absolutely choke to death. Another boss down, 0 great arrows used. But then, a new problem. The Shrine of Amana bugs. Normally no issue, since you can unequip everything and ignore them, but this last bug is too big to get past. I did a little testing to see if I could squeeze in a few hugs before they spray their acid mist, but they cover each other too well to make that work. But then, a new discovery. The butterfly wings sure look like garbage when they break, but you know what doesn't break? Their ability to poison enemies. The price of beauty is high indeed. Lemon, what the hell are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. Grandma Frog can easily be poisoned, so no worries there. But I decided to have some fun with the fight and see if she could be poisoned through her body too, and not just her face. I think the results speak for themselves. Another boss dead. Moving right along. Up next is Velstad, who at the very least can be said went down swinging, and while Ian the Guard Dragon's AI was annoying to deal with, all it took was a Drake-sized amount of patience and as much good RNG as we could muster. Next, we sprint through the dragon area, ignoring literally every enemy along the way and skipping through the dialogue until we get the Ashen Mist Heart, then dive into the memories of the giants and face off against our next contender, the Giant Lord. Oh no, is that poison I see? What a shame. Guess this means another boss dead with 0 great arrows What? Ashen Mist is thinned? No. No. Why is there a time limit? Who thought that was a good idea? I want answers. So it turns out, being in a boss fight does not remove the time limit of the Ashen Mist Heart, which is a wild choice. The heart gives you 5 minutes to explore a memory, and shows the thinning mist message when you have 30 seconds remaining. But here lies the problem. The Giant Lord takes 6 poison procs to kill, and in order to get a poison proc, I need to dance around the Giant Lord's ankles for 20 seconds. 20 seconds of dancing, followed by 20 seconds of poison damage. Right, time for a little napkin math. 40 seconds times 6 is 240 seconds, which, divided by 60 seconds, is 4 minutes. More than enough time, right? Well, no, because you've forgotten about the beginning run-up to the boss. The timer doesn't stop just because we're not in the boss fight, which means if, and that's a big if, but if we can get a perfect fight against the giant where I don't accidentally roll out from underneath his legs or get smacked across the arena, we have 60 seconds to get from the start of the level to the boss's ankles. Which means we can't just wait until it's safe to dodge the head and the catapults like we're used to. It's either full throttle all the way to the boss, or a dead attempt. And it's not as simple as remembering how to get there either. There's an entire battle between us and the boss fight, which means a lot of RNG that could ruin our attempt. Like, oh, I don't know, the final giant of the level stepping in front of me, then refusing to be a gentleman and move out of the way. Reset after reset after reset. It has to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect. What's worse is that his ankles are somehow able to evade the poison aura every now and again due to wonky hitboxes, so we need every second of leeway that we can get. But then, it happens. The perfect run-up, followed by near-perfect poison application. It all comes down to the last few seconds. Guess I'm a little confused about his hitboxes. Oh, come on. Come on. Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you, I win. Let me through. Let me through. Let me through. Let me through. Give me this. Oh! He got it. Yeah, fuck you. Well, that was an unexpected roadblock, but there you go. Giant Lord killed with 0 great arrows. Time for the home stretch. I open the King's Door to Drang Lake Castle, then get to work on the Throne Watcher and Defender. It's a little tricky since you have to whittle them down both at roughly the same rate, but so long as you time it out appropriately, there's not much they can do to you. One more boss to go. Nashandra. This boss fight is a weird one, because we had to develop several strategies mid-fight. The curse buildup is pretty constant, but if you roll through the curse clouds, they actually disintegrate, which means you don't have to constantly lose maximum health throughout the fight. After that, you just have to circle her for about 60 seconds before she gets poisoned, and the rest is downhill from there. The hitboxes on the curse clouds are a bit wonky, so it's kind of a pain to get rid of them sometimes, but if you space yourself appropriately, you don't always have to pop them. You can just give Nashandra's skirt a hug and wait for them to despawn naturally. That said, I found it best to bring an entire pocket full of life gems and human effigies to counteract the curse, because this fight takes long enough as it is, and the last thing you want to do is die at the end because your health bar got reduced to one-shot range. Well, Dark Souls 2, it's been fun. It's been fun. But I think it's time we call it a day. Don't you? No. Oh, you bitch. Okay. All right. Fine. Once more with feeling. And despite Dark Souls 2 giving Nashandra 10 HP in a dream, it's over. All of Dark Souls 2 completed. Now then, let's check the total number of great arrows used and compare it to Teleios. What's that? I didn't use any great arrows? Huh. Well then, I won't spoil how many arrows Teleios used in his run, but I have a sneaking suspicion that my 0 is a little bit lower than his count. Nothing personnel, kid. It's just business. Alright, I hear you don't have to yell. While I personally feel like I performed the run according to Teleios' rules, I can understand why anyone who is mainly interested in seeing how many great arrows it takes to beat the game would be a bit disappointed. So, with that in mind, I offer you 2 solutions. The first is that Teleios' video, while it definitely used glitches, also used great arrows to kill targets, so you can always check that out if you're curious. The second solution I can give you is that when I've got enough time, I'll come back to this run without the extra baggage of putting a new challenge runner in their place, and do it properly. No workarounds, no gotchas, just some good old-fashioned number crunching. Deal? Sounds good. See you in 3 years. A big thank you again to Portal Fantasy for sponsoring today's video, and a thank you to Teleios for forcing me to come back to Dark Souls 2 and think outside the box. I'd Uno reverse challenge you to Dark Souls 3 with only 100 great arrows, but I have a sneaking suspicion that one is impossible. Call it a hunch. But in any case, that's all I've got. Take care of yourselves, be good to one another, and I'll see you all again soon.